I'm Calvin Royal III. I'm a principal dancer with ABT, and I came to ABT through the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis School back in 2006, and I've slowly, over the past 14 years, just slowly worked my way up through the school, through ABT2, or now the ABT Studio Company, and I became principal in September of 2020.
Hello, everyone. I am Desmond Richardson, co-founder and co-artistic director of Complexions Contemporary Ballet, now celebrating its 27th season. And I too am a former principal dancer with American Ballet Theatre and have had a fantastic time while being there before I went to Broadway and done other things. But yeah, that's me for now.
The word mentorship is something that is really important for a lot of young people to be exposed to and to have, because I know from my experience having someone that was older than me that I could trust, that I could go to, that had more experience than I did, someone who just had all of that wisdom to know sort of the right way to steer me in the right direction. And I think in terms of dance in particular, one of my earliest mentors was my teacher at the Performing Arts High School as well, Mrs. P, or as most of her students now call her Mama P, because she's like that motherly figure for so many of us. And she wasn't afraid to tell you the truth when you needed to hear it. And I think mentorship is about that. It's about having somebody who has seen the world, has had all of these experiences, and can give that back and help kind of lead and guide those who are coming up. So yeah, what does mentorship mean to you?
Well, I think mentorship means reflecting on one's past and understanding what you've learned and pay it forward to the next person. And I too agree with that, is that it's so necessary that there's someone in front that you as a young person can look at it and say, oh, okay, maybe I can use a little bit of that at this, and that guidance too, because it's important to have that correct guidance. I too have a Mama P too. So it's so interesting. And she's in my life today, Penny Frank. And she was the one who, beyond the ballet, she was teaching me the Graham technique. And she was the one who said, I used to be the kind of student that would beat my own self up. Like, I can't get it. It's not right. I'm over there in the corner, like, ah. And she was like, okay, are you finished with all of that? Let's wrap this up, because I need for you to focus and actually use that energy for something productive. And I thought, wow, that's pretty profound. Like, okay, and she had me write a lot in my journals. That was one of the things she said, like, stop getting in your way and impeding your process. So as a mentor, that to me that was incredible. Or as a mentee, that was incredible to hear. Like, at that particular point in my trajectory, learning information, and I'm wanting to be like others because they were already trained, coming from this school of American Ballet and all these other schools here in New York. And I was like, what do I have? I'm coming from like Queens. I only know social dance. So to have a mentor in front of me who could guide and who could actually tell me the real deal right away instead of sugarcoating, I think that that's very profound. And it's something that I actually take in to myself and have pushed that out to the students that I actually get a chance to mentor now.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about what you were saying about like really paying it forward and really just kind of giving you that truth and giving you that guidance. I feel like another part of that too is when a mentor really sees you. Like, it's when someone that's, they see your potential, they see what you have to give. They also see what your weaknesses are, that your challenges that you have to overcome. So yeah, it's that part of it too, is like having that person that really sees you and can offer that guidance based on who you are, and not you know, trying to box you in with a group of people. Because for
Right.
me, my mama P, she did that for so many of us. It was like, no matter if you had the most training or you didn't, we were all in the class to learn something. We were all there to grow, and you know, whether we're going to become great dancers or not.
I
So
love that. I love that leveling the playing field, because in my class, once I began to learn more about what I could offer the dance, if you will, she was like, "Stop looking left and right. I only want you looking left and right to get the energy. I don't need you to look there and be like, oh, I wish I could. No, you're on your own path, and you have to do just that, because your path is your path, and it's so unique to you." And I love that. That one has stayed with me even now. Like, whatever this road is for me, and whatever the universe is conspiring for me to have, that's on me. Like, I have to go in there and actually be okay with what's to come, because and be okay with the training that I've had, and and continue forth on that to inspire. Yeah.
honestly, like that saying of it takes a village, really it does. And I think in my case, I had Mrs. P, Mama P from the start. But in terms of family, I was so thankful to have both my mom and my grandma who, you know, something as simple as making sure you had your uniform, or making sure you made it to class on time, or that you had, you know, enough food for the day, you know, things like that, you know, that are so important too. But as I came to New York, and I joined the JKO school, Franco DeVita and Raymond Lukens sort of took me under their wing while I was at JKO. And even now in the company, I work with Maxim Belarzakovsky, who used to be principal with ABT, and he's become an incredible mentor to me in terms of preparing the roles that I aspire to do, preparing the roles that I, you know, still haven't done, that are on my roster to do. So I think it really does take a village. And for me, it wasn't just one person, it was a collection of so many different people that had different perspectives, and just different nuggets of wisdom that they sort of offered me over the years. And I'm thankful that I can still learn and still grow.
Yeah.
Even now as a principal with ABT, it's like, just because I've reached that level doesn't mean that that journey is over. I still can learn, I can still grow. And yeah, I love that.
That's great to hear, because many in your position, often think, oh well, no, I'm a principal dancer. I'm going to do certain roles, blah blah. But it's about, now there's even a bigger responsibility, and I would say that responsibility is just to yourself. Like, you do you, and do it to the best you can, right? And I think it's super important, like what you said, it takes a village, because I too, my mom, my grandmother, I grew up with a lot of church women. So they were like, you got your food, where are your clothes? What's going on? Things like that. So, and nor were they coming to the studio with me. They were just like, you get on the train and you get on the bus, you need to be here by a certain time, and that's it. So, but that was teaching me another particular discipline, and being respectful of, time and place, and how I'm being raised, all of those good things. Because as you very well know, Southern folks, once one thing is said, please adhere. So there's no gray area in that way. But I do appreciate all the information I was getting, because one thing, which was really interesting, was to me, was when I joined American Ballet Theatre, and uh, my grandmother, I think, had already passed, and my mom had told me that, as a young African American, and me being the first African American principal dancer at American Ballet Theatre, which I didn't know, I had no clue, but that there's a particular responsibility, but the responsibility you have is to do what's in your heart and that you want to give over to people. And thus that energy is going to radiate with them. Regardless of if they're watching someone white, black, pink, or purple, that energy is going to come off. And I really appreciated hearing that. And because when I joined, there was a lot of information of, oh, you're a black dancer, and I was like, well, yes, I have no choice. This is what God has given me. So that's never going to go away. But coming from people and from a community of people who have come through a particular struggle and did sit-ins and was part of civil rights marches and understanding that, I understood that there was a particular level that I needed to come in, and my mentors were all around me for that. And I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. So I never had any sort of like heaviness about, being the first, but it was more revealing and sending a positive energy out that there are so many people here that can give over to this dance and just allow them to. So it's the ability to be allowed to, right? The opportunity. So I love the fact that I had that particular support to push me through and to say, you know what, hone in on your craft. Your lineage and everything is coming with you. You're stepping on the shoulders of people that have come up, ahead of you. Reminder: there are people that are in your lineage that didn't have an opportunity to even sit in the seats. So, in that, you have to do what you do and bring it and radiate beautiful light. And that was really beautiful. That's something my mama Penny told me. Radiate beautiful light and all else will come your way.
Love that. And that's almost like that saying of like, I come as one, but I'm standing on those shoulders of 10,000 that are like,
Yeah.
they paved the way for me to even sit here and have this conversation, and it's like,
exactly.
It's so powerful. It's so
yeah,
powerful.
because generally we don't realize the connections that we do have, and that we are very connected, and stories are quite similar, right? So it's very necessary to continue these conversations and communication, so those who are coming, behind us or after you, can have, something to aspire to and go, oh, you know what, my trajectory is mine, but look who all these people that have come, because there are those who have even come before me, like Ronald Perry and Keith Lee, and who were of color, or Mel Tomlinson, and Sylvester Campbell, who were fantastic dancers, and that just didn't have the opportunities that we have been afforded. Yeah. Don't lose what you have acquired in the other styles of dance that you know. Because at one point I was just with blinders on, because I knew I wanted to really understand classical ballet. I really wanted to get it, because I was told by another teacher that maybe my body is suited for jazz. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't understand anything about that. I just was like, why don't I learn the craft first, and then let's talk about that, So thus, because I was coming from gymnastics, I had bigger thighs and all of those things. And so it wasn't the ballet line and traditional ballet line for the guys. So thus I had to do hundreds and hundreds of tendus and, elongated things. And she taught me that, and I really appreciate hearing that part of, you were exposed to other styles of dancing that actually helped you in your classicism, because that to me is really very necessary for young dancers to understand that part. Like, you just don't leave the other parts of the dance genres over there. You actually bring it all together. And to me, it was all great to have that that classicism come to fruition. And as I started to get better and better at it, then I started to find my voice as to how I wanted to present it. That was something that was very wonderful to me. And, I guess I could say she was very much a big mentor to me, Stephanie Zimmerman at the High School of Performing Arts in New York, where she exposed me and had me reading a lot of material from French literature, all those things I wanted anyway. So I wanted to know, I wanted to be in the know of what was going on before me so that I can kind of just create my own future. So that was really important to know from her.
So I think where I am in my life and my career and just kind of sort of that impact that I hope to give to those who are coming up behind me, I especially during this time that we are all experiencing, something that's been really inspiring for me has been teaching more. I've taught so many Zoom classes of young dancers across the country, around the world. And that for me, being able to see that even in this time where there's so much uncertainty and they're at that stage of their training and development, it's super inspiring for me to be able to not only teach them, but I always like to leave some space at the end for us to sit and have kind of a Q&A, but it's not me talking to them, it's me talking with them so that, I can hear from them what their challenges are. I can hear from them what inspires them to keep going in spite of. So I think I'm in a moment where I, of course, still have all of my incredible mentors, that the village that surrounds me, that I can call up, that I know I can trust and reach out to. But I also feel like I'm at that place now where it feels great to be able to not only inspire, but to offer those experiences and have that dialogue with the younger generation they're ready.
Yeah, they're way ready. And I love, as you said, like having had these Zoom and continuous Zoom classes now with kids, not only in America, but all over the world. They actually really want the information and to hear their story, because everybody has a story within this dance world I see. So we all have similar stories or these really interesting sort of trials to triumph stories. And I think that that's very important to talk about, like, as you said, giving over to the students and allowing them to speak, because sometimes they don't want to speak, right? Because we're in a mute art form. And when they're using their voice, sometimes it's taking so much time, like, you can actually ask me a question, do so. And when they do, they allow themselves to open up and they just go for it. And hearing those stories, it's so beautiful. As I'm sure that you've experienced yourself, it's really beautiful to hear where people want to go, where they've been, and what motivates them to continue, right? And in that, what motivates you to continue?
I think, I mean, like I said before, during this time, there is so much uncertainty in terms of where the future is gonna be in the next 6 months, even. But I think just again, like, these classes have been so inspiring to be able to give back and to be able to. It's kind of like an equal exchange, and I'm currently working on developing a program that will help to bridge that gap and to allow for more mentorship, and I think that's kind of propelling me to be able to not only continue to share my story and where I came from and all the experiences that I've had, but to be able to help give that space for like I said, all of the youth that are coming up that are just ready for the opportunities, the experiences, to learn and grow. And for me, that's the future that I want to be part of.